we will be filming a new battle report this weekend. It will be Greyjoys versus Viewers' Choice. Based on the 8 factions on the screen now, we would like you, the viewers, to decide their opponent. Leave a comment to vote for the faction you want to see in the next video. The faction with the most comments by this Sunday morning will be played. Enjoy the video.
Ours is the fury. These are the words of the Black Stag of Baratheon.
A Lannister always pays his debts. Our words are, hear me roar.
This video was filmed at Canada's largest event to date. It was the final round between 5th and 6th place players, the Hedge Knight and Sorsington. Due to the loss of a camera, our main shot had to be wide angle, and the quality has suffered on close-up significantly. We apologize and promise the next video will be back to a higher quality. It was a great and action-packed match, however, so please try to enjoy the video.
After winning the role, the Baratheons play 2 heart trees, and the Lannisters play 2 stakes. The Baratheons win the deployment role as well, and choose table side and force the Lannisters to deploy first. The Lannisters place Jaime and the warriors' sons in the center. The Crownland Scouts take the near flank. Adam and the Honor Guard take position on Jaime's far flank. The Sentinels position next to the Scouts, and the Lannister crossbows line up in front of the near stakes. Courtney and the Stag Knights go next to the Sentinels in the center. The Zor's riders line up across from the Scouts. The Golden Company crossbows finish deployment next to the Stag Knights. The players split each other's decks, shake hands, and the battle begins.
Round 1.
The Lannisters choose to be the second player, giving them first choice of objective cards for the use of their commanders. They choose objectives 7 and then 9, while the Baratheons choose objective 6 and then 10. The Baratheons open the round by playing Oath of Duty onto the Crownland Scouts. Olenna then takes the tactic zone, draws 2 cards and places a weakened token on the crossbows. She then uses her ability to shut down Shay's abilities for the round. Pycelle then takes the maneuver zone, and the warrior's sons move forward 5 inches. He does not use his ability. The second Oath of Duty is played onto the Stag Knights. Varys then takes the crown and zaps the crossbows. They fail for 3 wounds. Qyburn takes the wealth zone and targets the crossbows, removing the weakened token and restoring the 3 wounds. Alistair takes the swords for no action. Jaime activates, and the warrior's sons march forward 10 inches and claim the center objective. The crossbows activate and shift forward so they can fire into the warrior's sons. The Golden Company crossbows land all 6 shots, and the warrior's sons put on a defensive show, blocking 4 on 5 pluses, taking only 2 wounds. But their resolve then falters as they then fail their 4+ panic test and take 2 more wounds. In response to the attack on their commander, the Honor Guard uses Adam Marbrand's Sentinel Order to maneuver forward 5 inches. The Lannister crossbows then march up to the stakes. Courtney Penrose and the Stag Knights activate and maneuver forward slightly. Adam and the Honor Guard march forward 10 inches next to their commander's unit. The Sentinels then maneuver forward slightly. The Crownland Scouts use tactical reposition and shift themselves 3 inches behind the Sentinels. The Zor's riders use their free maneuver and then a march to move up just before the near side objective. The Crownland Scouts activate and pass their turn. End of round 1.
Round 2.
Round 2 opens with the Lannisters activating Shay. She claims the wealth zone. She uses her ability to put a weakened token onto the crossbows, but Stag's Wit is played to block it. She then heals 3 wounds to the warrior's sons. Olenna blocks Pycelle's ability for the round and takes the swords to target the crossbows, who shoot into the warrior's sons. The crossbows land 4 hits. They save none and take 4 wounds. They pass their panic test and generate a faith token. Pycelle takes the tactics zone, draws 2 cards, and puts a weaken on the crossbows. Courtney activates and plays issue commands to attack with the crossbows again. This time, they land 4 hits, and the warrior's sons block 1 and spend a faith token to block 2 more and take 1 wound. They pass their panic test again and generate another faith token. The honor guard uses Sentinel to maneuver 5 inches towards the crossbows. They then activate and declare a charge on them. The charge is successful. They gain Sundering and shut down Iron Resolve. They land all 7 hits with a re-roll. The crossbows save 1 and take 6 wounds. They then pass their panic test. The Sentinels use their Sentinel order and maneuver forwards. The Sentinels then declare a charge on the warrior's sons. They are successful. Facing Jaime's Disrupt and Counterstrike abilities, they gain Vicious from Brienne's Battle Scars. They land 6 hits and take 1 hit back, which gets through as a wound. The warrior's sons block 1 and then spend a faith token to block 2 more, taking 3 wounds. The warrior's sons then fail their panic test and would be destroyed, but Kingslayer's Renown is played. The Baratheons play Courtney's counterplot. But before they can resolve it, the Lannisters play their own counterplot. It is successful, and the card stands, meaning they pass their test, heal 2 wounds, and generate a faith token. The Crownland Scouts use their tactical reposition to shift the Stag Knights back 3 inches, putting the Honor Guard into their line of sight. The Warrior's Sons activate and trigger Objective 7 to gain Vicious. They attack the Sentinels. They spend a faith token to gain re-rolls and Sunder. They land all 6 hits. The Sentinels block 2 and take 4 wounds. They then pass their 7+ panic test. Alistair activates, and the Lannisters play Intrigue and Subterfuge to put a weaken on the Stag Knights and shut down Alistair's ability. He takes the crown and uses Courtney's ability, Might of the Throne, to charge the Honor Guard. Stag's Fury grants critical blow, and Courtney also triggers Objective 6 for Sundering. They roll 7 dice, and after a re-roll and the weaken token, they land 6 hits. The Honor Guard fails to save any and takes 6 wounds. They pass their panic test. Qyburn then activates and takes the maneuver zone. The Zorse Riders move 6 inches towards the center. Varys uses a little bird to shift the Crownland Scouts 3 inches. The Golden Company declares a retreat. They move away from the Honor Guard while keeping in long range of the Sentinels. The Zorse Riders activate and maneuver towards and then declare a charge on the Sentinels. It is successful but disorderly, taking away re-rolls and cards. They still land 7 hits. The Sentinels manage to block 3 on 5+, but they still take 4 wounds. Their courage holds and they pass their panic test. The crossbows then use their Sentinel order to maneuver. The Crownland Scouts then use Mark Target to put a vulnerable token on the Zorse Riders. The Scouts then maneuver and declare a charge on the Mummer's rears. They roll a 1 and suffer a disorderly charge. They still land 5 hits. The Zorse Riders fail to save any and take 5 wounds. They then fail their panic test for 2 more wounds. The Lannister crossbows then open fire into the flank of the Scouts. They land 5 hits, and the Scouts fail to save any, taking 5 wounds. The Zorse take and pass their panic test for being shot into. Then the Scouts fail their panic test for 2 more wounds. Fealty is played to heal 2 wounds. Back to the Honor Guard. End of round 2.
Round 3.
Round 3 opens with Qyburn using one of his little doves to mark the swords and the crown. Alistair avoids both and takes the wealth zone. He replaces it with bronze, motivated by coin ability to attack. The crossbows fire at short range into the Honor Guard, gaining re-rolls. The weakened is spent and they land 3 hits. The Honor Guard block all 3, auto passing their panic test. The Stag Knights take and pass a panic test for being shot into. Alistair spends a token and moves himself to the swords zone. Jaime activates and the warrior's sons spend a faith token and attack. They land a precision and 3 hits. The sentinels fail to save enough and are killed. The Lannisters score 2 victory points. The warriors' sons surge forth. The Golden Company uses their sentinel order to maneuver. Olenna activates and shuts down Pycelle's ability. She then takes the crown and targets the Stag Knights, who use Courtney's Might of the Throne ability to replace it with an attack. Oath of Duty is now activated and puts out a vulnerable token and grants re-rolls. Stag's Fury now grants Critical Blow and Vicious. Ours is the Fury is played to grant Sundering and +1 to hit. With re-rolls, they land all 7 hits. The Honor Guard block 1, the vulnerable is spent, but they still make the save. They take 6 wounds and then fatally fail their panic test. The Baratheons score 2 points and surge forth. Shay takes the wealth zone. She puts a weaken on the Stag Knights and heals 3 wounds to the warrior's sons. The Stag Knights activate and successfully charge the mummers in the flank. They put out a panic token and gain re-rolls, Critical Blow and Vicious. They land only 4 hits, and after the weakened token is spent, only 1 hit gets through. The Zorse Riders fail to save it, and then Max fail their panic test, but remain alive with 1 wound. The Zorse Riders activate and attack the Crownland Scouts. They gain Critical Blow and +1 dice. Rolling 6 dice, they land 8 hits. The Crownland Scouts block 2 hits, but take 6 wounds and are killed. The Lannisters score 1 victory point. In response, the Golden Company crossbows activate and Subjugation of Power is played on them, combined with a Hear Me Roar for a -3 panic test. They pass the 8+ test and are not subjugated. They shift forward and fire on the mummers. They fire 6 shots and 4 find their mark. The mummers fail to save any and are killed. The Baratheons score a victory point. The Stag Knights take and pass another panic test from the friendly fire. They then pivot to face the warrior's sons. Pycelle takes the tactics zone to draw 2 cards and put a weakened token onto the Stag Knights. Varys takes the maneuver zone and the Golden Company pull back. Finally, the Lannister crossbows attack and destroy the stakes. End of round 3.
Round 4!
Round 4 opens with Pycelle taking the maneuver zone. He puts a weakened token onto the Golden Company, and then the warrior's sons maneuver onto the center objective. Alistair Florent takes the crown, and Courtney replaces it with a successful charge into Jaime and his warrior's sons. Oath of Duty puts out a panic token and grants re-rolls. Stags, Fury adds Sunder, Vicious, and Critical Blow in round 4. Jaime's Counter-Strike and Disrupt are also in effect. After re-rolls and a weaken, only 3 hits land. The warrior's sons save 1 and take 2 wounds. They pass their panic test even after the panic token is spent and generate a faith token. The Stag Knights take 4 hits back and 2 land as wounds. Alistair spends a token to move himself to the swords. Shay generates a token and claims the crown. She targets the Stag Knights and plays Hear Me Roar. They pass their 6+ panic test. Qyburn marks the 2 remaining zones. Olenna takes the wealth zone. She heals 3 wounds to the crossbows. She marks Qyburn for D3 hits if he claims the remaining zone. Both remaining Baratheon units become vulnerable. Qyburn does claim the tactics zone, draws 2 cards and puts a panic token on the Stag Knights. The warrior's sons then take 2 hits, they save 1 and take a wound. A Lannister pays his debts is played on Jaime's unit. The Stag's Knight activate and the Kingslayer's infamy is played. The Stag Knights fail their 4+ panic test after the panic token is spent. They take 2 wounds and gain a weakened token. The Stag Knights attack. They put out a vulnerable and then play ours is the Fury to gain +1 to hit. The Lannisters play counterplot but roll a 1 and it fails. Objective 10 is then played to get highest attack dice. After the weakened token is spent, 4 hits land. The warrior's sons block 2 even after the vulnerable token is spent. They spend a faith token to block the 2 and get the token right back. The Stag Knights take 4 hits back and take 2 more wounds. The Lannister crossbows and then the Golden Company crossbows both march 10 inches forwards. Jaime Lannister attacks Courtney Penrose. The warrior's sons spend a faith token to get re-rolls and sunder. They land a precision and 3 hits. The Stag Knights use resilience, and after a vulnerable re-roll, they take another wound. They then fail their 4+ panic test after the panic token is spent. They take 2 more wounds. The Golden Company use their Sentinel order to move towards the far flank. The Lannisters score a victory point for the center objective. End of round 4.
Round 4!
Round 5 opens with Olenna activating. The Lannisters play intrigue and subterfuge to shut down her abilities. Qyburn also spends a token to mark the swords and the crown. Olenna takes the wealth zone and targets Bronn and his Golden Company crossbows. They shift 2 inches and fire into the flank of the warrior's sons. They land 4 hits. The warrior's sons fail to stop any, saving on 6s, but spend a faith token to block 2. They then pass their panic test and use Kingslayer's Renown to heal 2 wounds back and gain a faith token. The Stag Knights then crucially fail their 4+ panic test and are killed. The Baratheon player was counting on using his conviction card in hand to heal off that test. This is a critical turning point, and even the Kingslayer is sorry to see his rival fall in such inglorious fashion. The Lannisters score a victory point. Shay takes the maneuver zone and puts a weaken on the Golden Company crossbows. The warrior's sons pull back and away from the crossbows. Varys uses a little bird to shift the crossbows forward 3 inches. Alistair takes the swords to attack with the crossbows. After the weaken token is spent, they land 4 hits. The warrior's sons block enough to spend their faith token and block them all, gaining back their faith token. Alistair uses his last token to move off the swords and onto the tactics zone. Pycelle takes the swords with no effect and puts a weaken back onto the crossbows. The Golden Company then activates and fires again on Jaime. They land 5 hits even after a weakened token, but with their faith token spent, the warrior's sons only take 2 wounds. They then pass their panic test and get back the faith token. Qyburn takes the crown and targets the crossbows, who pass the panic test. The warrior's sons then reclaim the center objective. They score a point, and the round and game ends as the Baratheons concede defeat in a 6-3 Lannister victory.
If you enjoy this content, please take a moment to like and subscribe. May the old gods and the new smile on you. Good gaming.